this is Dan from Paracord. Today we're going to make something a little different. We're going to make a watch band similar to my watch band here, but instead of a side release buckle, we're going to use one of these adjustable shackles, D-rings, whatever you want to call them. So it has the 4 holes there and the little screw here. One thing I don't like about these is, you know, the screw comes out, so that's something you could potentially lose, but it is helpful because it is adjustable, so you don't, when you make a watch band, you don't have to make it perfect. We have about 11 feet, maybe 12 of black 550 paracord. This is the watch I'm gonna put the watch band on. One thing about this watch is these bars right here aren't the spring release bars, so we're gonna have to weave it in as we're actually making it. This was the original band that was on it, so I'm replacing that with our paracord band. So here's the tools that we use: lighter, scissors, forceps. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna fold the paracord over, not in half this time, but one side is probably going to be about maybe 2 feet long, and then the other side is going to be the other, you know, 9 to 10 feet, depending on how much paracord you got. But you're going to take your one end of your shackle and you're just going to loop this around like so. So the long end is obviously going to be your working end, what you're going to weave with, and then your short end is just going to help you make the 4 strands. So again, okay, I got one piece that ends right there, and then the rest is hanging over. Now, one of the problems we have here is that this watch, the little bands here don't, or the little bars here don't come off. So what I need to do is I need to weave this through kind of as I'm making the band. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so we got those 2 through. Now we're going to run the 2 through here. Okay, so I got those 2 through. Alright, now I'm going to come to the other end here. Alright, and we want to make sure we set this guy in the right direction. It does have a little curve, so the curve is going to go underneath, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 ends of our paracord here and we're going to weave it through the last hole in opposite directions. So one is going to come from the right, the other is going to come from the left. And this can be difficult, but if you get some nice points on the end there, you shouldn't have a problem. And then also, if you gut the ends a little bit, it makes it a little bit thinner and easier to push through there. And also, if you have a little tool or something, it makes it easier. Alright, so now we have the 2 ends in opposite directions going through there. Alright, so there's the first 2 strands. Again, we're going to need to make 4 going through there. So then this one's going to come around and we're going to wrap it back through the 2 tight bars we have here, and then this one's going to go back through as well. Okay, let me review what I've done so far. It might have been hard to follow when I was struggling through running the paracord through the watch here. But first I just looped it through, and then I ran the 2 strands down the middle. Okay. Alright, 2 strands down the middle through the watch, and then I went opposite ways, one of the sides from right to left, and then from left to right, and then I looped them back through on the outside and came back through the watch and looped around. Now you notice here's the short end that I made, and then here's the long working end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this short end, I'm probably going to cut it off a little shorter, and then I'm going to melt it to itself so it makes a little bond here, so I don't have to worry about tucking this in later. Okay, so I just looped this around and just melted it to itself like that. That's the short end, and that's going to be done. Now that's not set in stone there, so you kind of got to be mindful of it when you're weaving, and just make sure you're weaving around it real tight till you get past it, and then you can pretty much ignore it. But now we're going to take this side, and that's what we're going to start weaving with. Okay, so we have everything ready to go. Everything's nice and tight. We have our 4 strands. This one I might have to work with a little bit once I get down to that end, but you won't even notice. So here's my loose end here. Again, I've melted this off, so that's finished off there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to start weaving. I'm going to start going over the top, then under the 2 middle, and then over the last one, and then pull it all the way through. Now these first few, I'm going to make sure everything is nice and tight. And that just helps in the long run. Okay, and with this shackle here, it's a little bit different from doing the other thing. Okay, now once you get over here, you're going to loop around over the 2 middle ones and then out the other side. And you're pretty much going to alternate that back and forth, back and forth. And this is the exact same as how I do with the side release buckle. And as you're going along, you want to push all your little weaves up. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Alright, so you're just going to weave back and forth like that all the way through, and you'll start to see kind of the basket weave, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll come back on when I get down to here and show you what to do. Alright, I'm getting close to the end on one side, and I've just come underneath the 2 middle ones, and I'm going over the outside one, the one on the right here, and I'm going to tuck this back in underneath. I'm getting pretty close, and this is where I could use a little fid, but I really don't want to do that quite yet till I get down to the end. Okay, so I just pulled that back up through, and then I'm going to go over the 2 middle portions, 2 middle strands, and then that's where I'm going to end it, because the middle, I want the middle to be 1 row longer because of the little knobs on the outside here. Kind of will block the outside too. So that's pretty much on that side. My last one. Now if I need to, and if I probably will push this up tighter, you know, I can just do it through the back and pull these through and make it nice and tight. But okay, now we're on the end here, and I just came over the 2 middle sections. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a little path here, and I'm going to run my working piece through here. Now this is going to be because of this watch, and if you want, you can give yourself a little more room by pulling these back through, and I suggest you do it. And probably the watch that you use, it's not going to be as hard to pull these through here. If you got the spring loaded bars there, it's so much easier. Alright, so okay, I gave myself a little more room there, and I'm going to pull that back through after I run this. So now, make myself a little space, and I'm going to take my working end, and I'm going to attempt to squeeze it through here. It actually wasn't too hard. And then I'm going to run it through, trying not to twist it all up, because usually when you're pulling through something tight, it wants to get twisted. Alright, so now I got it through. Okay, so that's what it looks on the other side, and once I tighten that up, which I'm going to do now, it will look a lot better. So now just piece by piece, I'll pull these tight. And then you can see it starts to tighten up and look a little bit better. But you don't want it to be super tight, because then it won't be able to bend as much. Okay, so there's that end. Now we're going to pull these guys tight again and clear our space out for our new strand that's coming in. Sorry, I try to keep on camera here. Now, the difficulty of this is not very high, but when you're trying to film it at the same time, sometimes becomes a pain in the butt. Alright, so now I'm going to weave this through the other side. Alright, and that actually wasn't that bad getting it through there. I was a little bit nervous about it. Alright, so now we have 5 strands going across the back, and sometimes, depending on the size of the watch, if you're doing maybe a female's watch or something like that, it's a little bit narrower. You may not be able to fit 5 in there, so when that happens, I just usually lay it over the top and maybe even put it underneath one of these and then come back over here. So you don't necessarily have to have all 5 underneath there. So, alright. Now we're back over here. Here's our working strand. Now, first thing you want to do again is we ended off in the middle here. So we're going to start off going across the middle here. So here's our little piece coming. We're going to put it across the 2 middle strands and pull it through. And then we're going to continue our weave. Okay, so wrap around over, under the 2 middle, and then over the outside. Okay, wrap around, now over the 2 middle, and around the outside. Okay, so y'all should be able to follow that. Keep pushing it up the whole time you're doing it, keeping everything nice and tight. Again, you want to try to keep the band pretty much the same width. And so you want to use the same tightness and everything over here, because you don't want this side to be real fat and this side to be skinny, or vice versa. So once I get down here to the end, I'll bring the camera back on. So now I've attached my handy little fid here, and once I get close to the end, it's a little bit harder to get the strands in there. So I'm going to use this to kind of weave it back and forth here. And I'm going to fit as many in there as I possibly can. Try not to get it twisted up, and just keep going through here, and then this will pinch a little bit tighter and you'll be done, and then I'll show you how I finish it off. Okay, now I'm on the back side here, and I just ran it through. My last loop was over the top two, and I have it coming through the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep the fid on there and run it through the last two loops. Pull that through there, pull it down nice and tight, clip it off, leave yourself a little bit of room to be able to melt it. One thing you don't want to do too is sometimes, I've done this before, I'll cut off this little piece here and then I'll throw it away with the fid still on it, and then I'll have to buy some new fids. So try to remember to take that off. Alright, so now we're going to melt this real good. Get it good and boiling, and then I just smash it down nice and smooth. You can barely even see it. And get our little screw here. Now, one thing that's good is that it only goes in on one side. Well, I don't know if that's good or not, but I guess that makes sense. And there it is. I'll take the little protective cover off, and there's our adjustable Shackle watch band with a big watch face on it. Alright, well, sorry, I don't know if how clear it was. You probably got the idea on how to make it. It's not much different than with the side release buckle, so I'll post a link to that video as well. But hopefully you can make it out. If you have any questions, just post in the comments, and thanks for watching.